Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to another Indie Game Friday. This week, I'm going to take a look at a game that's been out for a while now, and I'm really surprised that I didn't cover it in depth before. I know I really meant to. Guild of Dungeoneering was released on July 15th, 2015 on Steam, and is available on Steam and GOG.com. It was developed by Gambrinus and published by Versus Evil. As of this review, it has 2 DLC packs that include a variety of equipment areas, monsters, and additional classes to adventure with. Guild of Dungeoneering is a little odd. It's not quite a roguelike, but it has certain roguelike elements. Gameplay involves managing a roster of adventurers and sending them out on quests, then building the dungeon in which they explore, with a random assortment of cards. When one of your adventurers dies, another will show up, though minus the bonuses they may have acquired up to that point. Gear and levels are reset between dungeons, and health is reset between battles. Rooms that you build on the guild, however, are persistent, and surviving an adventure can give a hero a permanent bonus for the next set. The storyline starts with you playing the role of the guild master and the dungeon master in kind of a sort of roundabout way. You build the guild to attract heroes, then dispatch them to adventures to attain more gold so that you can build up the guild, thus attaining fame and fortune for yourself. There's more to it than that, really. It's all expressed through messages and text between regions, as well as the lyrics of the songs included throughout the game. I'm going to get back to those songs at the end. Gameplay is pretty much as I described it earlier, but it's actually surprisingly fun. It's broken down into guild construction, regional quest selection, dungeon exploration, and combat. Guild construction takes place on a single grid screen, where you can purchase guild upgrades. Each guild upgrade is a room card, which you can then place adjacent to an existing room. Some unlock new classes, and a member of that class will arrive immediately thereafter. If said adventurer dies, you'll have to wait one guild construction turn without them before a new one will take their place. Other guild upgrades unlock gear or abilities, generally simply adding said gear to the list of items that can be found during an adventure, though occasionally offering something that can be taken in from the very get-go. There are 3 tiers, with each tier being substantially more expensive than its predecessor. After you are satisfied with your guild's layout, you can then select an adventure to undertake. Each region may have a few different adventures to select, and those adventures may have multiple stages of quests within them. Each quest stage is its own dungeon crawl, and though the quests in a particular adventure need to be taken on in order, you can hop around from adventure to adventure within a region. Once you've selected a quest stage, you may select which adventurer on your roster to send, and send them along with a particular bonus if you've unlocked one of those. Dungeon exploration mode takes place on a grid screen, similar to the guild construction screen. At the beginning, a few tiles are laid out on the dungeon, which may or may not be connected to the entrance, including any fixed encounters that the dungeon offers. Each turn, you are dealt a hand of cards, including rooms, treasures, and monsters. Certain rooms have certain effects attached to them, as well as room for a monster and 1 treasure or hope card. During each turn, you may lay out up to 3 cards. Room cards create new rooms, but must be matched to existing rooms. If entrances to a new room would not line up with an existing entrance, then it may not be placed. In this way, you build the layout of the dungeon for your own adventurer. Loot discovered not only increases the overall take from the dungeon, but can be used to entice your adventurer to go to a certain direction, since you can't control your adventurer's exploration directly. Similarly, monsters of the same level as an adventurer may entice them to go in that direction. So why would you want to place monsters in front of your adventurer? As I said above, each quest starts with an adventurer's level and gear reset to 0, unless you have something that gives them a basic piece of gear to start with. This means that, if there's any sort of challenge boss or dangerous creature in the dungeon's victory conditions, you'll want to build your adventurer up before facing them. You can build up your adventurer's level on these placed monsters, and these placed monsters may also drop gear, which you can then use to upgrade your adventurer's chances of survival. Further, there's a certain rooms that may offer other effects, including the blessings of the gods. If a monster is killed on that particular tile, you can gain a blessing token. This may allow you to stockpile favor so that you can use the favor effects later, or use gear that penalizes you if you don't have enough favor. Favor can be used to select the token in the upper corner and pick one option to perform an effect during combat or exploration. After you have placed your cards, the adventurer moves one tile, depending on what you have placed to entice them around. If the tile contains a monster, then combat ensues. During combat, you are issued a hand of 3 cards, and during each round you may draw one and play one. The cards are usually attacks and defenses drawn from a deck which is determined by your character's class and gear. Equipment may provide a flat bonus or effect, but mostly it's just useful because of these battle cards that they add. A shield-type item, for instance, may offer several blocking options that may come up during combat. During your turn, your enemy plays the card off the top of their deck, and you can select a card from your hand. These cards may include physical damage, magical damage, physical blocking, magical blocking, healing, unblockable attacks, and various other effects. The matchup of these 2 cards, as well as the interplay between your various static traits, determines how much damage you take during each round. Each battle, you start with your health at full, so you don't need to worry about finishing combat with only 1 or 2 health. While simple in principle, these combats rely as much on strategy as the luck of the draw. Further, certain enemies will focus on certain types of attacks and abilities in their deck, so you can select gear and a class that will do better against a particular enemy if you're having trouble with them. Once you've completed a dungeon, your gear and takings are sold to put more money into the guild's coffers. If you succeed in your quest, it'll be crossed off and may unlock further adventures and regions. The adventurer in question may also receive a permanent trait, which will allow them to be more effective in future quests. While gameplay is relatively simple, it is quite fun, something similar to an adaptive card game RPG. So where do the music and graphics stack up? Well, graphically the game is pretty unique. It uses a sketch-based art style that's reminiscent of the sorts of paper doodles you might have seen mapped out on a old-school DM's notebook, with the room layout seemingly sketched and mapped out on graph paper. The style is consistent, and the animations retain that sort of pen and paper feel, like they're being drawn in. The music is kind of amusing. A lot of the game is interspersed with songs with actual lyrics, rhyming away the tale of a particular adventurer or event, and in my opinion, they don't play enough to get old, at least not during the first few playthroughs. Background music without lyrics is not out of place either, maintaining the same feel while remaining largely unobtrusive. At least, mostly. There are a couple songs that may pop up randomly that seem a little bit out of place. You can get the entire game with all DLCs and the soundtrack for $24.99 on Steam, while the base game is about $14.99 without any DLC. I honestly really like it so far, and I've actually included this on one of my top gaming lists in the past, but I can see where, if the core combat mechanic and randomization doesn't really jump out for you, then you may find it repetitive after a while. Further, it can be frustrating if you happen to lose a lot of veteran characters while only higher-end quests are available. So this is very much a game that can fall apart pretty quickly if the core of it doesn't really grab you. Still, I at least thought it was well worth the buy. And with that, I'll leave it to you. This has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you've got feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.